Fit to Love, episode 104, the gift Valentine's Day brings to all of us.
Fit to Love is physical, emotional, and spiritual fitness to achieve the happy life you deserve. From exercise to cooking, relationships, and spirituality, you'll find all the inspiration you need right here with our host, JJ Flizanes.
Hello and welcome to Fit to Love Freedom Fridays. Today's show, the gift that Valentine's Day brings to all of us. I'm very excited to share the show with you. I will warn you up front, this is a full hour show because it was my interview on Hay House Radio by Michael J. Chase. I was so honored to be asked to be on his Hay House Radio show, and we had such a good time doing this interview that I wanted to make sure I could share it with everybody. So sit back and enjoy. Again, this format will be a little bit longer than some of my other shows, so I hope you enjoy it. Come over to fittolove.tv and let me know.
Join the kindness revolution. Welcome to Acts of Kindness with Michael J. Chase.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into Hay House Radio. I'm Michael J. Chase. You're listening to Acts of Kindness. And we got another really great show today, which it should be a very interesting one, as we'll be talking about love, relationships, and the gift that Valentine's Day brings to everyone. So make sure you stick around as we talk about that. That's Valentine's Day is, I know it's one of those holidays. It's very bittersweet for people, and it can either spark something very special in our relationships, or it can be a little depressing for some people. And I know I've been there. And I'm sure that many of the listeners can relate. I remember several years of being single, and February 14th rolled around by myself, and I just wanted to hide from the world. And I couldn't stand happy couples. You know, you see those people walking and they're holding hands, and you just because deep down you want that so much for yourself. But yeah, it was tough because so many of those years my plans. I remember one year, the plan for the night was to rent When Harry Met Sally and to just kind of wish for better luck the next year. I was always a romantic, but there are just some years that I was alone. And all of this was, this was long before I had ever even considered the idea of self-love and understanding that another person could never really make me happy until I was happy with myself. And I can honestly look back and say, I can see so many of my relationships that failed, they were really my fault. The fact was I wasn't happy with who I was, and that kind of spilled out into the relationship, and things just didn't always work out so well. So today will be interesting as we kind of dive into both sides. Those of you out there that maybe you have someone special that you can share the day with, and those of you who maybe you will be alone, or maybe and maybe that's by choice, and that's totally cool. And we just wanted to highlight that today, that being single is in many ways it can be a very good thing. It's an opportunity for growth and to spend time with the most amazing person that you will ever meet in your life anyway, and that's you. So today I feel that I've got the perfect guest to help us see ourselves, our relationships, and even Valentine's Day in a healthier way. My guest today is JJ Flizanes, and JJ is she's the director of Invisible Fitness. She's the best-selling author of Fit to Love: How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life. She was named Best Personal Trainer in Los Angeles in 2007 by Elite Traveler magazine. And JJ vividly reminds us that the word fitness is not just about a state of one's physical body, but also the factors which determine a person's overall well-being. And that's really important. We'll talk about that today. For JJ, the key components in all of these areas are what she calls invisible: balance, support structures of nutrition, emotional centeredness, and health. JJ is a contributing expert to The Daily Love and About.com. She's also been featured in many national magazines, including Shape, Fitness, Muscle and Fitness Hers, Elegant Bride, Women's Health, as well as appeared on NBC, CBS, Fox 11, KTLA. And she's also the host of the Fit to Love podcast show, which is on iTunes. So definitely check that out. She's got a whole bunch of shows that you can listen to there. And it's currently being downloaded in 94 countries. So a lot of people are tuning in there. JJ, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michael, for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for helping us spread the love. It's that time of the year, and when February rolls around, you're seeing hearts everywhere, and so it'll be a fun show to talk about love, self-love, loving others, and some of the incredible things that you've been doing. And I just we exchanged an email last night. Of course, I just got your book, and I've been skimming through, and it's fantastic. I want to put it's just a beautiful, beautiful book, and I haven't even scratched the surface, but already I've seen so many wonderful things that not just for women, but can really, really benefit men as well. So I want to say the title of that book again. It's called Fit to Love, and then the number 2, it's Fit, and then 2, Love. How to get physically, emotionally, and spiritually fit and attract the love of your life. So definitely add that to your list if you're looking for books. JJ, I'd love to hear a little bit about your journey and how you got into this work, and first of all, how long have you been doing this? Because I know you're a personal trainer as well.
I've been training for over 15 years, and I started in the business learning a lot of science and coming at the body from a position of just science, learning the muscles and kinesiology and biomechanics and biochemistry and physiology, and being able to tackle any problem of the body, whether it be weight loss or joint, someone has an injury and they need to rehab it. Whatever the problem was, I was really enjoying learning science, because for a long time I was a very right-brained child. I'm a singer, I'm a dancer, I'm very creative, I express myself all the time, I'm very communicative. And so I got that out of my system, so to speak, in the first early years of my life. And then all of a sudden, when I got into personal training and I started learning about science, a little light bulb went off, and I thought, oh, I'm smart. I actually understand science, because I really didn't understand science. I mean, I understood it. I got good grades. But I was one of those people that it never clicked. Like, I wasn't that math and science geek that it just sort of was like a language that I picked up immediately. Sometimes I was confused. I thought, I don't know why I need to know this stuff. I can't see it. It doesn't excite me. It's not applicable. I mean, I'm sure it is, but it wasn't close to my heart. I get into personal training. I start learning science, and now I can see it. It was amazing. I could see the mechanics of it. It became important, and it became clear. And so in the personal training world and in helping clients with their bodies, I'm a problem solver. So if you bring me a problem, I'm going to want to solve it. But my tools at the time were just, like I said, science. And then when I'd come up against something I couldn't fix with science, of course, that begs the question, well, what are the other components that make up this situation? And so from there kind of started the journey into the self-help work, into the emotional, into the spiritual, into the biochemical in terms of food and food sensitivities and hormones. So I really just opened up and started learning everything that I could to find so many different tools that I could help anyone no matter what the problem was, that there was no stopping what was in my tool bag, so to speak. And that's sort of what led me down the mind-body connection road. And so that's the training and how that all goes together. I'm the why person. I'm the kid that said, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? Well, why? And not. And
that's why you're smart. That's why you're smart. You ask questions.
I'm curious, and I'm also the kid that if my mother said, "Well, you're not allowed to do that," I'd say, or I said, "Why can't I do that?" Well, because I said so, and I say that's not an answer. Because I said so is not an answer. I need a reason that makes sense to me that I agree with. In order
Did you get a lot of timeouts when you were a kid?
I didn't, actually. There were a few years in the junior high area where I rebelled a little bit. But really, I wasn't given a lot of very strict rules, so I didn't really have anything to rebel against. My parents are pretty accepting of my desire to understand and know, and so I challenged them. If they didn't have an answer, then they'd have to find one. So So that's how I got really interested, and still am, of course, in everything that makes up the integration of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, because that's really where it all is. I have Louise Hay's book, Healing Your Body A to Z, and You Can Heal Your Life, and all of the emotional roots of physical ailments, and I carry it around with me along with some other books. And when someone has an issue, I pull out the book and we look at the emotional issue. And then, of course, I have the information in my head of the physical and the biochemical from a food standpoint and allergy standpoint. So that's a little bit about how I've worked and learned and grown. And then taking that into my personal life, obviously I'm a romantic and I'm a female. So, I did pull out the magazines when I was younger and look for my wedding dress when I was like in 8th grade. But although, of course, my real wedding dress looked nothing like that one back in 8th grade. So, through the years, as I was on this journey to help others and to dive deep within myself to understand the connection between my thoughts and feelings and law of attraction and manifestation and just general happiness, I decided that, with the help of law of attraction, of course, that the best road of action, what felt the best for me, was to, besides trusting the process, besides trusting divine timing, was that there was something very wrong and unhealthy and disempowering about looking outside of yourself for happiness, looking outside of yourself for love, while, of course, sharing love between two people is amazing, and you don't have to have it from someone else to give it. And so that was what sent me sort of inward to say, I'm in charge of my own happiness. And it doesn't matter what my circumstances are. I get to treat myself how I want to be treated, and I get to love myself, talk to myself, do things for myself that reflect love and that just shower me and fill me with love, and I don't have to wait for someone else to give it to me.
You make such a great point there, because I know, personally speaking, I look back at all the years that I sat alone crying and wishing and hoping for this perfect person to come into my life. If I had dedicated that time to my own growth and to really learning to love and appreciate who I was and working on myself, then I don't think I would have felt that loneliness. It was in the introduction of your book. You have that quote by Byron Katie. It says, do you want to meet the love of your life? Look in the mirror. And that's fantastic. So I love the fact that this is what you're teaching, and it's tying it in with the physical aspect as well. I mean, that's something that not a lot of people are really doing. So it's a whole new thing that I think that people are starting to embrace. But clearly, you're really taking this in a direction that I think is vital to people's overall well-being and health.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. Part of the reason why I am bringing it in, because as a trainer and just as a regular person, you could walk into a gym on any given day, and there's a feeling that you're going to get from not just the gym itself, but from people in the gym. It's palatable. You can almost feel that they're in there working on themselves because they don't like themselves, because they're hoping that if they change, someone will love them. And that's a feeling that I reject. Not that I reject, I accept it in other people, but I don't think it has to be that way. And in fact, I know that isn't going to be successful long term. That's besides being disrespectful to yourself, again, it's projecting out, it's giving your power away, and it's focusing on the external and basically reinforcing a belief that you aren't enough and that you aren't lovable exactly the way that you are. And so that's one aspect of the fitness industry, which is why I'm in the fitness industry, but I've rejected that too for that reason, that we're looking at the outside. We're looking at what someone looks like. I don't judge people based on what they look like. And I don't look at someone and say, well, you need to work out. That's so surface. And that isn't me at all. I dig deep. I go in. If you are happy, that's all that counts. If you are a happy, fulfilled, self-loving person, you will make choices to care for yourself versus wait to be validated by somebody else. And so this book is really also a movement for me to really let people know that you can have a different relationship with your self-care, with your exercise, with the gym, that you do it because you love yourself. And that's when it's going to really make a big difference.
Yeah, you nailed it right there, because I'll be the first to admit that in my 20s and even my early 30s, the whole thing for me working out is that because I valued the opinions of others more than myself. I wanted to look good and to look more attractive to the rest of the world. Now at 45, my workout it's for me. It's because I care about myself. I love who I am, and I know that the better I feel, and when I feel good, then I can take care of those around me in a more authentic and loving way. So great point you're making.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're the smart one here. My gosh. I keep thinking, as you talk about all that smart stuff and the science, and I'm just seeing, the cast of Big Bang Theory, and, you need to work with them or something. So let's talk a little. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the book. I mean, you've got some really cool chapters in here, and one that this one just jumps out, and I think everybody, of course, loves a story like this. The title is "Manifesting My Husband in 3 Weeks." That's more than just a chapter. That's an online course. That's a whole workshop. That's you could teach
Right.
that to lots of people. Tell me a little bit about that and how this all happened and how you did manifest your husband. And first of all, how long have you guys been married now?
It'll be 7 years this year.
7 years. Okay. So, would you mind sharing a little bit about how that all happened and where you were before you did meet your husband and the steps that you think allowed you to bring him into your life?
Absolutely. I had been dating somebody, an ex-boyfriend, and I was really in love, and he opened up my heart, and he absolutely was the right person at the time to do all that. It was a soul connection for sure. And once that relationship sort of ended, I felt a little in limbo, and there were so many great, wonderful things I got out of that relationship. And I started dating this other guy, and I wasn't really over the first guy. And somewhere along the line, because with relationships, what I learned when I lived in New York, it was after two of my first relationships, long-term relationships, I realized that there was a difference. And I think this is a really important point, especially for women, not as much for men, but for women, is that there's a difference between having someone as a companion and then someone as a lover and partner. Because I was so attached to a boyfriend in college for 4.5 years, he was my everything. We did everything together. In fact, we were known, our names were together in one word. We weren't even separable. People knew us together. And so he and I were friends, and we did everything together. And then when we broke up, I had this sort of empty hole of what do I do now? And so the next person that came along, I wanted him to be everything too. I wanted to stick him in that role of, you're going to do everything with me. You're going to be my companion. You're going to go to the movies with me. We're going to cook dinner together. We're going to go on trips together. You're going to come home for Christmas. And it took me until after that relationship to realize, because I had a roommate who was male and a friend of mine, once that roommate moved in with me, all of a sudden I had a companion. And then I could see life a little more clearly. I wasn't so needy to have someone to hang out with. It made things really, really clear. So for anyone out there who's single and feeling lonely, you have friends, most likely, and you have family, or you have neighbors, or you have opportunities to make friends that can help you enjoy your life and not necessarily wait for that one person and keep telling yourself, well, I have to have this person in order to do this and this and this and this. That's false. And that's what I implemented before I met my husband. So Brian and I had met him, but we hadn't, one time we met, and then that was it. And it was 8 months later that I started doing this vision board work. And then 3 weeks after that, he called me up and said, hey, I'm going to come visit. And I thought, okay. And it really was the first date, that first real date, we knew instantly. So when it comes to treating yourself and really evaluating, what is it that I want from a partner? Why do I want a partner so bad? What does that mean? What will we do differently? How will I feel? And that's what I broke down. Well, I wanted to be dancing on a regular basis. I wanted to be exercising and working out. I wanted to be eating well and going out to dinner. I wanted to be having someone buy me flowers. I wanted to have all these different things, and I listed them out, and I just made sure that I did them for myself. In fact, when I started doing the vision board work, I'll tell you that at that moment, I had everything I needed because I gave it to myself. And I was not yearning, nor pining, nor feeling needy about anybody else. I was completely full of love. I had plenty of companions. Every aspect of my life I was fulfilling. And then, of course, a friend of mine who I was dancing with, he was leaving to go to Japan, and he said, I know when I get back you're going to meet somebody, and then we're not going to be able to hang out anymore. And I looked at him, I thought, that's ridiculous. And he came back from Japan, and I'm like, I'm engaged.
So he put that intention out to the universe too, in his own way.
He picked it up. He knew intuitively that I'm going to leave, and your life is going to change. I'm going to come back, and our life is going to change. And he was one of many people that I enjoyed my time with. He was my dance partner. So anyway, so I used the vision board work, and so back to what did I do? Well, I did notice and evaluate what is it that I need. I would like to have people to do things with. Okay, well, I can take care of that. I have plenty of friends. In this area of dancing, I can call this person and this person. If I want to go to the movies, I can call this person and this person. So I just made sure that I honored what it was I wanted and found a way to get it. And then when it came to, the only thing I was missing was that intimacy part, but let's just say there's ways around that, right? So, and I really do believe that, especially on the physical side, that's important to acknowledge. And because if you're looking for someone and you're pining and yearning and waiting and you can't wait, you're being directed and guided by by something that's temporarily short-lived.
Right.
So I had done all this work, and I was really happy, and I was really great, but I was still wanting a partner, of course. So I learned about the vision board, and I made 2 of them. And I love teaching about vision board work because most people think it's just you put pictures on a wall, and then that's it. I tell people that a vision board is like a treadmill. You can have it, but it doesn't work unless you use it. So with the vision board, I would put up my pictures, and I would stand every morning for 5 minutes, and I would zero in on one of the pictures. And I would visualize it, and then I would close my eyes, and then I would visualize being in the picture. So there was one picture of a woman who she was being wrapped up with a guy. He had his arms around her, and he was lifting her up, and I think she was holding a football, and she was laughing, and his face was sort of near her neck. And so I'd imagine that, and I'd imagine the arms around me and being lifted off the ground and the wind in my hair and his breath on my neck. And I would do this until I literally had like a chill up and down my body, which let me know I was now connected. And I had given myself that energetic, vibrational love, so to speak, and I was in the picture. I was in that reality, and then I'd go about my day. So it was a 5-minute exercise every day, and within 3 weeks of doing it, that's when Brian decided, okay, I'm ready for her. And he called me up, he came over, and that was it.
It's just incredible how this really does work. And so many people still just kind of brush it off as new age fluff and, they're like, oh, that's ridiculous. But it does, it works. And you made a really important point there about getting into that state of feeling. Because there's a big misunderstanding in manifesting things or law of attraction or personal magnetics, whatever you want to call it. People think I just have to think about it. I just have to think good thoughts and think about what I want, and boom, it'll show up. But it's really like what you did is immersing yourself into that feeling state. Like, what would it really be like? And that feeling, which I'm a big believer that feelings create, and that is the vibrational frequency that goes out and just, it brings it all in. So, yeah, a great reminder, anybody out there that has thought about doing a vision board and say, oh, maybe someday. Do you have any advice to kind of give them a little kick to say, let's get this going? What's the simplest way for someone to begin doing this?
Well, to ask yourself, why do you want a partner? Why do you want somebody? I mean, it's not, someone might say, well, that's obvious. Well, no, it's not. Outline it. Why do you want a partner? What are you telling yourself you're going to be able to be, do, or have once you have somebody? Because that's another false idea about, once I get married, then everything's great. And from everyone who's married, we go, ha, 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 right? Right, yeah. I'm sorry, the work begins once you get married. The work that you're doing now is to be the best self you can be, to attract the right person for you, and the person who, the better you are, the better they'll be. You're going to attract where you are. So if you're feeling broken and needy, that's what you're going to get back. And it's going to be two unwhole people trying to fill each other's hole. And it won't be successful, because you want to be a strong, not independent, meaning you don't need anybody else, but you want to be empowered to know that you can get what it is that you want. So for me, I went through that list of why do I want a boyfriend or a husband or whatever. And, for the romance part, I wanted flowers. I wanted to go dancing. Obviously, I wanted intimacy. Past that, I wanted companionship. I wanted to be able to cook dinner for somebody. I wanted to go to dinner with somebody. I wanted to go to the movies and go shopping. And so those are all things you can find another person to satisfy, minus the intimacy part. If you start filling your life with things you want to do and stop waiting for someone else to give it to you, then you're already full. And here's the fun thing about attraction. Besides vibrational matches that you're going to attract whatever it is that you're emanating, men, this is for the women, men aren't interested in needy women. And vice versa. Women don't want needy men either. We want a person who's whole and happy and who vibrates joy by themselves without anything else. And so when you're out there and if you're being that, that masculine energy woman and you're making this a job and you're demanding and you're needy and you're looking and you're intense, that is not feminine energy that's going to attract a masculine man.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and I learned that one the hard way. One of my acupuncturists at the time when I was dating would always ask me, how was your weekend and what did you do? And I'd tell him stories and he'd say, JJ, take the badge off and put the gun down. And I was like, wow. Okay, I get it. Because I was dating like a job. I was hunting the man, right? I was in my masculine hunting going, of course I'm not attractive to men because they don't want to be hunted. They're the hunters. They want to do the hunting. I need to be the deer, or at least, and not change who I am, but just activate those parts of me that I hadn't been, the feminine parts of me that I love, that creative right brain part of me that I had missed out on for a little while because I was working for myself and, getting things done and being productive. So I think that's the place to start. Really acknowledge what it is that you're telling yourself about what it is you want and why you can't have it until you have a person in your life who you consider a lifetime partner or even just a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Brilliant. That's fantastic advice. So if it's okay, I'd love to start talking a little bit about February being here and Valentine's Day, which of course, there's so much that surrounds this holiday. What, like I said earlier, it's very bittersweet. Some people, it's the ultimate opportunity to be romantic and to do that whole thing. But then it can be a challenging time of the year for some people that are alone. So tell me your thoughts on Valentine's Day and maybe we should just talk a little bit about the culture of Valentine's Day and how it kind of sets us up, sometimes for success, but also sometimes for failure.
I'm going to say that most of the time it sets us up to fail.
Okay.
I would say that the general culture around Valentine's Day for the majority of people sets us up to fail. There's an expectation that we're going to celebrate love, something that we really all want to be feeling every day. We're going to celebrate love, romantic love, on this day, and that if you're a woman, your man is supposed to do something for you, and it needs to be, extravagant.
Oh, it's got to be
romantic.
Epic,
right?
Yeah,
it has to be epic, exactly. And so, to me, that sets it up to. Most men, especially single guys, young single guys, hate Valentine's Day. Unless they're an uber romantic, and there are those guys out there, and I have dated those guys. But the majority of those guys don't really like the pressure that comes with Valentine's Day. All of a sudden, there's this expectation to show you that I love you today, on point, no matter what I'm feeling or thinking or doing or what my budget may be. I'm supposed to jump over hoops to show you that I love you when you really need to know that already.
Oh, you're so right. You're right. There's a ton of pressure there.
Absolutely. And for women, again, there's an expectation. Well, if you love me, then you'll do it. If you love me, then I'll get tons of flowers and you'll whisk me away on a jet to France for lunch. And, and so I think it sets everybody up to fail. It doesn't have to. And I've got a really great suggestion on how to turn that around.
Well, you're right. There is so much pressure and expectation, and it's unfortunate that it's all thrown into one day. And what about the other 364 days in the year? And so I'd love to hear your take on that.
Well, first, I will admit that I was that girl, and that the first
At some point,
Day,
every girl is that girl.
Right. Well, because you dream about it when you're young. You're like, oh, one day a guy's going to show, and then, you just perpetuate it. So we actually went through a pretty tough time, not right away, but we've had our ups and downs, and I've actually got to practice my work, really practice my work. I wrote this book pretty early on in my marriage, and then, of course, my marriage got challenged. And I'm happy to say that we got through that and then are elevated to a new place. And I use the same principles in this book to help my marriage as I did to attract my husband. So I just wanted to say that to everybody. This book was originally here's how to attract the love of your life, but it never was here's how to get married and stay married. Here's how to survive the storm. But I can honestly say that by continuing to follow the principles in the book, absolutely saved my marriage. So in the beginning, I had that expectation, because when you find the love of your life and you know you're going to marry this person, you're choosing this person, it feels so right, and you're like, yay, finally, you have high expectations for Valentine's Day. And that first Valentine's Day was a crash and burn. And so I had to get over that, and I did. And then the following year, he proposed on Valentine's Day. So he sort of made up for that by proposing on Valentine's Day, right? And then every year since then, it's sort of been touch and go until a few years ago, because, again, there's an expectation. And now, of course, the bar was set. He proposed on Valentine's Day. The bar is set really high. But I learned, because I knew prior to all of this that my husband felt pressure from Valentine's Day and that men in general felt pressured. And I thought, that's really not fair. And he has a point. There's always expectation, and what about the ladies? Where's our expectation for them, and where's their day? Why is all of a sudden, maybe it's Super Bowl Sunday, I don't know, but why are we supposed to, get showered with love on this day that somebody else at Hallmark decided was going to be for us? So I stopped waiting, and I took the pressure off him. I stopped expecting him to do anything, and not in a mean kind of throw my hands up in the air kind of way, just no, I get it. And I have these ideas about what it is that I want. Now, besides the jet to France for lunch, I definitely wanted certain kinds of flowers. I definitely wanted a certain feeling for the day. And again, just like I did with figuring out why I wanted a partner, I thought, what is it that I want out of Valentine's Day? I want to feel love. I want to celebrate the day of love, but it doesn't have to look like what everyone else thinks it needs to look like. So I actually told him several years ago, don't worry about Valentine's Day. I got it. He's like,
I've got this.
Okay, what does that mean exactly? And I ended up buying myself flowers. Ladies, by the way, the grocery stores several days before and the day after Valentine's Day, everything's on sale. Like you can buy yourself 10 dozen roses for pennies compared to what you're paying the day before Valentine's Day, right? So I bought myself dozens and dozens of flowers. Like literally, at the office of my old place, I filled it with flowers. And then I took myself to the spa that day, and I took myself to lunch, and I had my favorite food, and I had a massage, and I was in the jacuzzi at the spa, and I fell asleep in the nap room at the spa. I made sure I was relaxed and full of love and feeling joy.
Wow.
And that is giving myself what I'd want someone else to give me that no one else has to give me. Does that make sense?
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Wow. I've never, and so this whole Valentine's Day experience, you were married at the time, all this thing you're talking about with the flowers and the spa and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what was his reaction to all of this? Did like guilt come up, or did he think, I should have been the one to do that? Or was it all cool with him too?
Well, the fun thing about all of this work that I'm suggesting people do is that once you take the pressure off somebody else and you have this silent expectation they're supposed to fulfill, that you're setting them up to fail, then all of a sudden that they actually want to do it. They want to do something. And so, no, my husband would bring me home 3 dozen flowers, and he'd put them around the house, and he'd buy me little gifts, and he'd write me little notes. So I didn't do it so that he would do it. I didn't manipulate the situation so that he'd do it, because I truly, truly just did it for myself. It freed him up to be able to give if he wanted to. And he does every year. But he doesn't feel pressure to do it, and I don't feel expectation of him to do it. So there's no being disappointed or frustrated or anything like that. And there are years that we decide together where we're going to go for dinner, and but he always buys me flowers, and he always does something. And what's the most important thing to me is that it's more authentic. And then I allow him to be who he is, and when he decides he wants to show his love and gratitude, and he does. So it makes it more authentic that way than to force somebody to be loving or do things, because, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that aren't feeling love on Valentine's Day, but they go through the motions anyway. And so are you really getting the love, or are you just getting the stuff?
Right. Because like when you see guys in the, in the card section on February 13th, just before the store is closing. And that's what you see. You see these clusters, because I remember a couple of years that was me in that same section, and we all kind of looked at each other, just like beaten down and haggard. And it's like, oh God, where, and then you ask the guy beside you, do you know where you can get flowers this late at night? And there's, so much pressure going on there. But I just think that whole experience, what you just described, was so cool. To buy yourself flowers, to pamper yourself that day. What would you suggest bringing that into, because this was your experience as you were married,
yes.
But for a single person, I love the idea of someone that's single doing this for themselves as well.
Part of what I have in the back of the book is the 4-week plan. And the 4-week plan is about, and there's tons of stuff about sexual energy and emotional energy and relationships and different tips and tools on how one can start practicing giving to themselves what it is that they want in all different areas. There are 5 steps of the Fit to Love process. And so I go through each one of the steps, and each week of the 4 weeks give you 2 to 3 to 4 suggestions of how you can activate that within yourself. And I used to buy myself flowers, actually. I mean, I did all the things that I have in the book, and I did all the things that I'm telling you now. I would go to the spa on a regular basis. I would go on a vacation. I would buy myself flowers, because that's what a single girl wants. Oh, I want someone to send me flowers. Okay, buy yourself flowers, because guess what? You're probably going to buy the ones you like the best, better than you're going to get from somebody
that's
else.
Probably true.
Right? I'm not a big tulip fan, so when I kept getting tulips, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go buy roses, and I'm going to buy the multicolored roses. Or when I was getting, different arrangements, I was like, it's pretty. They're pretty, and I'm grateful, but I really want roses. I want red ones and pink ones and yellow ones and white ones and multicolored ones, and so just do it for yourself. Not to mention, I will say that rose is the highest vibration flower. So having roses in your house or in your space will raise your vibration. There will be an extra sense of love in the room, and looking at them is a visual reminder for yourself that you love yourself. It's just such a confirmation of self-care. So I would recommend all you single ladies out there, get yourself some roses for Valentine's Day. And don't skimp on it. Get yourself 2, 3, 4 dozen different colors. Put them in beautiful vases and celebrate you. And men, go golfing. Do whatever you want to do. Go see a football game. Celebrate you, and celebrate that you're a good guy, and that your energy will summon the right person when divine timing says that's when it is.
Awesome. This is I love your energy is off the charts, and you clearly have such a passion for this. I want to jump back into Valentine's Day for a second. This idea of the gift that Valentine's Day brings to everyone. Is this really what you're speaking about? Because I loved that when you sent that title to me for the show. It really just, I don't know, there was something very intriguing and special about it, which is why I said, yes, let's definitely use that. Is this what you're talking about? This gift that it can bring, it's the one that we bring to ourselves?
Yes. The gift that Valentine's brings to you is the opportunity to shower yourself with love and admiration, just like you'd want someone else to do. If I was single and Valentine's Day was coming, I would totally plan a day of self-care. What is important that I do for myself? Well, I'd have to get a workout in. I'd want to get a massage in. I might get a pedicure in. I'd get a fabulous lunch in. I'd maybe go to dinner with a great friend. or I'd cook dinner and open a nice bottle of wine. I'd take a bubble bath before I went to bed. I'd play the kind of music that I want. I'd go dancing. I would buy myself flowers. I might buy myself some jewelry. I would do whatever it is that I'm yearning to have or to be and to experience on that day, regardless. It's almost a test. I think Valentine's Day for single people can be completely opposite of what they expect it to be. Rather than depressing and a reminder that they're single, it's an opportunity to celebrate who they are and how to do that in the ways that nurture you the best.
Couldn't agree more. And as you're saying all this, I'm thinking, this could very easily go. Let's take it to our birthdays. A birthday can be another day that's very difficult for people. Some people, I love birthdays because, it's just evidence that I still exist. I'm still here, It's like, yay, I get another year. It's awesome. But I have some friends and family that they really, really struggle with the day, especially as they get a little bit older. But this seems like another opportunity to pamper yourself and not to wait for your spouse or your friends or your families to send the perfect card or the gift or the cake and all of that stuff. Do something for you. Celebrate you on this incredible day that you were born.
I couldn't agree more. I take off my birthday every year. In fact, this year we are taking a trip that is epic, and when we planned for it, and no, don't work on your birthday. In fact, here, I'm going to give you a simple phrase or thought that will wrap this all nice in a bow. Everything from the Valentine's Day, from being single to your birthday to other people's birthdays. If you are unable to celebrate and honor yourself, how do you expect someone else to?
Wow. Say that again.
If you are unable to honor and love and celebrate yourself, how do you expect someone else to?
Yeah, there's some big time truth in that, for sure.
We yearn for attention from others. I see it all the time. There are people who, they'll be like, oh, no, like they have an issue with receiving. A lot of women have an issue with receiving. Men do too. But I see it a lot in women because we're supposed to be the nurturers and the givers and that taking care of others. But then secretly they really yearn for someone. They want someone to take care of them, but they can't receive it. And this is an opportunity to practice that receiving muscle from yourself. So that way you can be open to someone else. If you really, really want that person to love and give to you and take care of you and respect you, it has to start with you and your example. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat you.
That's so true, and you really hit on something with that receiving piece. I know that for a year, back in 2007, I started something called the Kindness Center, and we were going out doing these really large-scale random acts of kindness projects for 24 straight hours, or traveling across the country and just stopping and doing things for people, whether it's you buy someone a meal, or you're offering up free hugs, or you're doing like we had a spot we were just giving away free compliments. And people are always asking me, it's like, well, don't people reject you? Don't they turn that away? And yeah, I mean, there are times that people, like, for example, and not just talking about these events that we did, but just in general life, give someone a compliment, say, oh, you look really beautiful today, or, I love what you're wearing, whatever it may be. But you can see people, they start to shrivel up, and then they're like, oh, and they back away, they get uncomfortable, and that's just so sad. Instead of just, having enough love and respect for yourself to just say, wow, thank you very much. Yeah, I think I look pretty hot today. I mean, that is, and it's too bad that we do, we live in a culture where everybody thinks, oh, well, that's just, they're full of themselves, they're egotistical. But there's a big difference. We talk about self-love and self-appreciation versus that egotistical place. That's, going to the whole, the physical world and the spiritual world and all of that. But yeah, when you're spiritually in tune with yourself, love who you are, then receiving, it just comes so naturally. And it's such a gift back to the person that is giving you that compliment or that gift or whatever it may be. It's such a big gift back to them.
That's a huge point, and I am glad you brought that up. I was going to, when you paused for a second, to say that there's two parts to that. One, you are allowing someone else to feel the joy of giving and giving their love. And when you reject it, then they feel rejected too. And accepting and receiving is also a gift to the other person who wants to give to you, number one. Number two, something else that I've started doing in the last couple of years for people that maybe they're not ready to take the spa day and buy themselves 3 dozen roses and take them out to dinner and go dancing. Maybe that's too much for them right now. So here's another practice I've been doing for the last couple of years that is awesome, is that I give on Valentine's Day. I've been giving to friends and family. So, for instance, a couple of years ago, I bought 11 or 12 copies of a book, and I love the little creative part. I get colored stickers, like I get heart stickers, and I bought Hershey Kisses and little Valentine cards from the stores that have like the Peanuts galleries on them, and like the ones you used to give when you were in elementary school and junior high. So I write a little note. I put in some Hershey Kisses in a baggie so they don't melt. I wrap up the book, and I send them, and I put little stickers all over the outside of the package, and then I mail my friends a Valentine's gift. So
love this.
Right?
I absolutely love this, because I remember years ago, my wife she's an amazing, she bakes. She's actually a pastry chef. And so she started baking all these incredible things. And then we went out and we bought some balloons and some cards, and we were just putting these things, we knew, like, friends and family, what time they were working, and we would sneak over, put things on their steps. And so when they come home, they have these Valentine's Day, not totally anonymous. They had no idea it's us. But yeah, you're so right. It's an amazing time just for doing little acts of kindness. Sending flowers to someone, or even one of my favorite things to do is I'll go over to the hospital and I'll ask the nurses at the front desk. I'll say, tell me, do you have a patient here who typically doesn't get visitors? They're often alone. And they just really could, use something to brighten up their room. And so they say, absolutely, Mrs. Smith down the hall. And I say, here's a bouquet of flowers. Deliver them to the room and just say it's from somebody who cares. It's just little things like that. But yeah, Valentine's Day. Even offer to babysit. If you are single, if you're not going out, that's such a huge act of kindness. Tell, friends or family, say, hey, you know what? Let me take the kids tonight, and, we'll watch some movies. You guys have a fantastic time. So there are opportunities. You could go, you could donate your time. You could go to a nursing home, and or just go, like you said, to pass out Valentine's Day cards and get the fun ones too. Like you said you get the peanut ones, like the. Yeah. Those are the ones, yeah, buy the kid ones and just put them on people's desks at work. And it's just so much fun. And if we could just unzip our adult, costume that we wear every day and get back into that beautiful place of being childlike, then Valentine's Day can be just magical.
Yeah, I love it. I love the holiday, and my husband loves that he has no pressure. And I'm actually, looking for, well, what am I going to do this year? But, I'm thinking, what else can I put in the package? And where can I find the red envelopes and more stickers, Valentine stickers? So I always really, I love it. It's so much fun. And so whether you give to somebody else or you give to yourself or you do both, Valentine's Day is an opportunity to activate love, period, and to be that beacon and vibration of pure joy and love that attracts so much more than when you're sulking and needy and depressed and feeling sorry for yourself and not respecting and loving yourself.
Yeah, you're right. In some ways, it's too bad that it has to be about, you have to look at it from that romantic perspective and only think of it as far as couples. That if we could just celebrate Valentine's Day as a day of love, just to make it about love, loving ourselves, loving others, doesn't matter. You're single, you're married, none of that matters. It's just about loving one another. And I think it would, it would take a lot of pressure off of everybody if you went into it that way. But your husband, he's a lucky guy because I think you're kind of a this is rare. You don't hear stories like this, and but I hope that it encourages more women out there and men to begin to think about doing things for you. I think that's vital to our own emotional, physical, spiritual health, to really just start again, like you said earlier, celebrating you. And just see where it goes. Who knows? Maybe 1 year it's a couple of roses. Maybe the next year if you're still single, then you know what? I'm going to Paris by myself this year.
Absolutely.
And you just take it to that next level, and just take it from year to year and have fun with it.
And that's really why my new title is empowerment strategist and not personal trainer. Because this whole idea of empowering yourself, we all have it. Everyone has the power within themselves to have whatever it is you want, to feel however you want to feel. And a lot of times we aren't taught that. I'm working on another book, and it's all about that. It's all about emotions, actually, and getting your needs met and defining that. And that's kind of what I'm talking about. The reason why I think it's rare is because most people aren't aware that they're manipulating others to get what they want, because they're not aware of what it is they need. And so all of a sudden, they behave in ways that they're trying to evoke things from other people to satisfy themselves, especially people pleasers. People pleasers are like, oh, no, I'm a people pleaser. People pleasers are highly manipulative, because what they're really saying is, I'm going to do everything that pleases you so that you love me.
That's true.
Right. So anyway, so I think that the awareness hasn't been created. I think that if women especially could be given tools to understand how to get their own needs met, to identify what their needs are, to identify what their emotions are, and then realize the tools they already have to get those needs met, the pressure will be off everybody. And then no one will have to manipulate each other in order to get what they want that they're not even aware of. So I think, so thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. But I think that the movement is coming, and I'm going to lead it.
Absolutely. JJ, I can't believe this. We got like 3 minutes to go here. I can't believe how fast this hour has gone by. I just wanted to ask real quick if, do you work one-on-one with people? Like, do you offer coaching services? Anybody want to work with you? And beyond the physical part, but do you coach people, also on like a lot of the things that we've been talking about today?
Absolutely.
You do. Is that like an ongoing process? I mean, do you work with people do they work with you just once, or do they have, how do you set that up?
I have, everything has to start with an initial consultation. So the initial consultation is the first part. And if you go to fit2love.tv, the consult is on there, and there's no obligation past the consult. So it really would be figuring out what it is that you need. I work with people all over the country on Skype, as well as on the phone. Phone would be the coaching part. Skype would be training. I actually train people over Skype, and just like I would be training them in person, and which is really fun. So you can go to fit2love.tv under products and find the consultation. And that's really where we start. And whether or not I'm the right person for you or this is the right work for you, I'd be able to tell you that after an hour of listening to what it is that you need. I refer people to so many different types of work. I always feel like I'm the manager of the process. There may be 3 or 4 things that need to get done, and there's an order where I think it's most effective for you and the most efficient and creates some momentum for you. And so sometimes it's not me. That I may be the manager of the process, but I'm not the first step. Or I'm the second step, and I'm sort of managing the whole process. But yeah, it could be short term. You can just get some advice. I can send you in different directions, or you can work with me for as long as you get benefit and value and get to your goal, whatever that may be.
Awesome. Well, we've got about 40 seconds left here, and I want to make sure I throw out your website again. It's jjflizanes.com. It's JJFlizanes, and then also invisiblefitness.com and fit2love.tv. This was a blast. Thank you. I had no idea what to expect today. You are awesome, and thank you so much, JJ. Maybe we can do this again sometime. All right. Well, thank you. You've been listening to Acts of Kindness on Hay House Radio. Hope you can tune in next time. Thank you. Have a great day.
Are you single and looking for love? Are you in a stale and passionless relationship that needs a reboot? During the month of February, I am giving away free copies of Fit to Love, How to Get Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit to Attract the Love of Your Life when you subscribe to this podcast. Visit fit2love.tv/ebook to download your copy today. The Fit to Love podcast show offers you 6 days a week of helpful content to achieve the happy life you deserve. Movement Mondays and Tasty Tuesdays are weekly video casts, while Wellness Wednesdays, Thoughtful Thursdays, Freedom Fridays and Sexy Saturdays are audio-only shows themed every week to address your holistic life and needs. If the show inspired you, we would love for you to share it and subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us today. Head on over to fittolove.tv for recaps of every show, resources, and to join the community. That's FIT, the number 2, LOVE.TV. Have a fit and fabulous day.